AT&T Park in San Francisco, and they're rocking and rolling here tonight. A big game. Giants fans a little anxious tonight, knowing they can ill afford to go down 0-2 with this series moving on to Cincinnati beginning on Tuesday. Tonight, Game 2 of the National League Division Series. The Cincinnati Reds and the San Francisco Giants. And everybody, we welcome you from AT&T Park. Brian Anderson along with Ron Darling and Joe Simpson. Great to have you with us tonight. Got a beautiful night for a ball game, and certainly the intensity is up. The Reds coming up with a big victory yesterday. They lose their starter, Johnny Cueto, early, Joe. They come back with a big victory that they needed. Landed the first haymaker to the San Francisco Giants. They go with Bronson Arroyo. The Giants go with Madison Bumgarner, and they know they can ill afford to go down 0-2.
There have only been 4 teams that have gone down 0-2 in a division series, Brian, and come back to win. And only one of those lost both of those games at home to start the series. So the Giants are turning to a guy tonight that they know they can count on in big postseason games. 2 years ago, Madison Bumgarner in postseason play, 3 starts. He went 2-0 with an outstanding ERA and a lot of strikeouts. He also had 1 relief appearance in that postseason and pitched brilliantly. He also has under his belt maybe his best performance, arguably his best performance of the year, a complete game, 1-hit shutout against the Reds earlier this year. He walked 2, struck out 8. He has that going into this game for him tonight, too.
Well, priority number 1 for Madison Bumgarner is to dim the lights on the star from last night, Brandon Phillips. This guy is a terrific player, one of the elite players in the game, Ron. And I think last night the nation got to see what Reds fans have known all along. On both sides of the ball, Brandon Phillips is a game changer.
Well, this is a young player that just loves the spotlight. He's a guy that loves the bright lights, and last night was no exception. He got the Reds up early with this 2-run home run of Matt Cain. He's one of those guys, though, that Dusty Baker says could hit anywhere in our lineup. He made 2 barehanded plays, and then this fantastic play on a bad throw, back up, and then like the Matrix, got under this tag by Scudero, continued the inning in the 9th when they picked up a couple additional runs, which was really the key to the Reds winning the game last night.
Cincinnati with their first postseason victory last night in 17 years. They're trying to go up 2-0 as they go back to the Queen City. We're set for Game 2. Lineups, first pitch, coming up. Sunday night, and the Giants and the Cincinnati Reds, 60 degrees. There is a little bit of wind blowing out towards right center field. We'll see how that factors in the ball game tonight. And while Ron mentioned that Brandon Phillips had a big night last night, was certainly on center stage, Joey Votto is the key to this Cincinnati offense. And with more on Joey Votto and the Reds, we check in with Sports Illustrated's Tom Verducci.
Well, usually navigating this Reds lineup begins with containing the power of Joey Votto. But this is not the same Joey Votto. He's in the longest home run drought of his career, 41 games. Now, 15 of those games predate his arthroscopic left knee surgery, 26 games since. He told me there's been 4 or 5 at-bats where he's tried to generate power and just did not feel comfortable at all. Now, he is getting on base. Since he came back, his on-base percentage is .495. So while he may not be the same Joey Votto in terms of the power, he still is a very difficult out.
And as we saw last night, a great eye at the plate. He last homered on the 24th of June during the regular season against the Minnesota Twins. Dusty Baker, his starting lineup tonight. Brandon Phillips leads off, then Zach Cozart, followed by Votto. The middle of the order is Ryan Ludwick, and then Jay Bruce, who had 2 hits last night, including a double and a booming home run to right center. Scott Rowland at third base. The bottom 3 for Baker, Ryan Hanigan, Drew Stubbs, and Bronson Arroyo gets the ball tonight in Game 2 for Cincinnati. And there is Madison Bumgarner, the big, strong North Carolina left-hander for the Giants.
So you had all those good words about Madison Bumgarner in the open. And after that game that he pitched, the best one all year against the Reds, that 1-hitter on June 28th, he was 10-4 after that, 6-7 since then. So really the only caveat to his season.
Overall, a terrific season for Bumgarner at 16 wins and 11 losses. And he, along with Matt Cain, the big centerpiece pitchers for the Giants, both getting long-term contract extensions. Cain was defeated last night as the Reds came in here to AT&T Park and won the opener. We're ready to go for game 2. Brandon Phillips ready to lead off. And Bumgarner deals pitch number 1 way inside. And away we go from San Francisco.
No big smiles on that first pitch, was there?
No, there were not. Maybe a little message right away.
Very quiet crowd here at AT&T Park, and it was interesting last night, very much the same. As the Giants struggled offensively, Phillips lifts this one in the air, foul territory, and easy enough for Buster Posey, and that's how Bumgarner's evening begins.
Defense for the Giants, the same as it was last night with Blanco, Pagan, and Pence in the outfield. No mistakes made last night by the Giants defensively. The mistakes were made by the pitching that cost them a couple of homers, really, that put them behind early in the ball game. Not a bad defensive ball club. They weren't very highly rated in the National League, but they can catch it, especially in the middle infield.
Bumgarner deals strike 1 to Zach Cozart. Rookie shortstop of the Reds, back in the 2-hole here tonight. Cozart with 15 home runs this year. He set a Reds rookie record. A lot of alliteration there. But
yeah,
he has the mark for home runs in a season by a Cincinnati rookie shortstop. Dusty Baker back in his hometown, a place he feels very comfortable.
Brian, addressing that crowd again last night, rambunctious and rowdy for their Giants tonight. A little sullen, a little anxious as they're hoping for the Giants to rebound here.
Well, they've seen Madison Bumgarner, as you pointed out the numbers. He has been inconsistent as he strikes out Cozart. Well, he looks sharp early, putting it right where he wants, and he punches out the Reds' number 2 hitter.
Well, and as Ron said, he didn't finish all that strong in the second half of the season, and that includes his last start at San Diego. 4 innings, he gave up 4 earned runs and only struck out 4 that night. Much sharper already here in the early going tonight.
Now it's Joey Votto with 2 away. I love what David Wells said earlier today on the pregame show. He talked about Madison Bumgarner. He's a sling blader. And he does sling it with the best of them. It's a very unusual motion and delivery for Bumgarner.
Makes it very difficult for left-handed hitters to pick up the baseball, but he also, because of that delivery, kind of has a natural cutter. In fact, Bruce Bochy, talking before the ball game, said they have to remind him sometimes to still stay on top of the ball, don't drop down under the ball, and let it just flatten out.
Yeah, swing and a miss. Votto fooled on that offering from Bumgarner, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, what's interesting when you see this, you don't see the ball until the very last minute.
Missed.
That's the one that's so hard for lefties to lay off. When he does throw his slider, it starts at the middle of the plate because it looks like it's coming from Scudero over at second base. And that's a wide swath it's cutting.
Well, as Tom Verducci mentioned, Joey Votto is not the big power threat. Certainly the Giants know that, but at some point he will find his stroke again. The Giants hope it is next season. But Joey Votto has spent a lot of time in the cage. He was the first one here today, down in that batting cage, trying to regain his stroke, that power stroke that made him an MVP 2 years ago in 2010. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Bumgarner wants to start over with the signals. He's a big man, 6'4". He's 23 years of age. Out of Hudson, North Carolina. Ian Posey, that young battery. And a swing and a miss. Bumgarner with a great start tonight. That'll ease the anxiety of these Giants fans. A 1-2-3 inning with a couple of Ks. Bronson Arroyo, the king of the salad. 12-10 record this year, a 3.74 earned run average, and a regular season horse for Cincinnati. we'll see how he fares in the postseason.
Well, he's one of those guys you can pencil in every year. He's not going to miss a start, not going to go on the DL, pitch over 200 innings, and be a leader of a staff.
Facing Angel Pagan to start it here for the Giants.
Really the king of pitching backwards. If you're in a fastball situation, you're going to get a breaking pitch or a changeup from Arroyo. He's got 2 strikes on you. Watch for the fastball inside.
Well, Arroyo is a very accomplished musician, guitar player. He pitches like a musician, has great tempo on the mound. He's an excellent athlete. Was a Gold Glove Award winner 2 years ago. An excellent defender. And stylish as well at 35 years of age. And you mentioned it, Ron. He has not been on the disabled list once in his big league career. As durable as it gets.
I think what he does out there, he uses that musical ability to be creative on the mound, almost like he's inventing pitches as he goes.
1-2 to Pagan. That ball is hit deep right field. Back on it is Bruce, and he will make the play. No problem. Now the wind is blowing out in that right center field gap, but I think it dies down in that corner, it looked like.
Cincinnati Reds put on a clinic last night defensively. Great plays from Ryan Ludwick in left, through Stubbs in center, and also Brandon Phillips. You see with his 3 Gold Gloves, Joey Votto, Scott Rowland on the corners with their Gold Gloves. This is a very good team defensively, and they showed it last night.
One of the pieces to Arroyo pitching in this ballpark, that drive by Pagan in the ballpark in Cincinnati would threaten being a home run.
Oh, I think that's 10 rows deep.
There's Marco Scudero. And Dusty Baker referenced that. He said one of the reasons he's got Arroyo #2 here, instead of the power of Latos, originally Latos was scheduled to pitch game 3, but Arroyo in this ballpark changes things for Dusty Baker, and he's a fly ball pitcher, even though he had great numbers at Great American Ballpark this year in Cincinnati.
I think one of the important things tonight, guys, for the Giants to try to avoid going 0-2 is to get early runs. Bruce Bochy said before the ball game they might try that if they get the opportunity to try to get on the board first and then loosen everybody up.
And a spinner in there on Scudero.
He's a kitchen sink guy, man. Yeah, I mean, he'll throw anything at any time, and he's got a good fastball, curve, slider, change. Not shy about using any of them at any time.
That ball's hit on the line to center field right at Drew Stubbs. So a couple of hard hit balls by the Giants to start it, but 2 outs.
I think what's interesting to remember is some hard hit balls from the Giants last night that found some gloves. So frustration maybe already here in the first inning.
Those are just the 5 pitches that we know about, right? He's got a few more. Sometimes Hanigan has to take his glove off behind the plate. And he'll do it from multiple arm angles as well, Bronson Arroyo. The Panda at the plate. Pablo Sandoval, the switch hitting third baseman. Sandoval had a rough go of it in the postseason in 2010. He was out of the starting lineup for the most part. Had just 3 hits in that postseason. And the Giants need big things from him. They were getting him at the end of this regular season. Especially hitting in front of Buster Posey. Too many times last night, Posey came to the plate with nobody on until the last inning when he was at the plate with the bases loaded. And Chapman struck him out to end the game. It takes a while for Hanigan to go through all the options. Arroyo has his mind made up. A swing and a miss.
Well, one of the things, back to your point, Ron, about pitching in this ballpark and the room he has, is that he's not going to change his style, certainly, but he's allowed to make a mistake or two here. Maybe like the one he made to Pagan that stayed in this park, he wouldn't have it in Great American Ballpark. So we might see him be a little more aggressive when he wants to.
A ball and 2 strikes on Sandoval, and he just missed that one on the bat as he pops it up, and Bruce will bring it in. 1-2-3 inning for Bronson Arroyo. He's off to a good start. Busy weekend here in San Francisco. The 49ers rolling today against the Buffalo Bills. at home. One of the many options for our visitors here as we head to the second inning. And Ryan Ludwick on the first pitch sends that one deep to center field. That ball is back, and that ball is gone. Ryan Ludwick, a solo home run to start it in the second inning. And the Reds, just like last night, strike first with the long ball, and they have the lead.
I don't know what to make of this, guys. This ballpark's turned into a home run haven in this series all of a sudden. First pitch to Ludwick. He had been 1 for 16 in his career against Bumgarner.
But the scouting report on Ryan Ludwick, if you get it, you have to be careful on the first pitch. Very aggressive hitter.
And Ludwick hit 26 during the regular season. And a big blast here to give the Reds the early lead.
This is supposed to be the Giants' home field, right?
Right. Yeah, not many home runs in this ballpark this year. As Bruce breaks his bat. And Dunn will hit Bumgarner covering for the first out. Yeah, the Reds with 3 home runs now. It was Bruce and Phillips yesterday, and now Ryan Ludwick.
Well, typically on a night like this, left-handed hitters who have a tough time with a guy like Bumgarner are patting the right-handed hitters on the back and saying, "Go get them, guys."
Yeah.
And Ludwick picked up the charge right there.
Yeah, but you made a good point. Bumgarner has been one of Ludwick's nemesis pitchers as far as opponents go. Just 1 hit in 16 career at-bats against him until that home run. Scott Rowland back in the 6th spot of the order. Bumgarner with a very impressive first inning, a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of strikeouts. As good of a start as he's had in a long time for the Giants. And right away the Reds get a run on the board in the second. Rowland takes one down at him, and it's 3 balls and no strikes.
Ludwick, you're looking at their .317 with 9 homers. First pitch this year.
And a 4-pitch walk to Scott Rowland. So a man on with 1 away. And the Reds catcher coming up, Ryan Hanigan. See the numbers that Ron referenced. After that shutout he had against Cincinnati, just 6 wins from that time. ERA was pretty good at 3.96. He's been dominant here at AT&T Park. His great home numbers, 10 of his 16 wins coming in this venue, and a 2.38 earned run average.
And 19-12 in his career here at his home park.
Got that interesting move to first base. Dusty Baker was trying to show us that move today. Kind of pulled it off, but it's kind of a Bach move that he'll look at the runner, look to home, and go back to first base. See how his shoulders are turned where he is facing right at the runner. Amazing thing in this game, isn't it? If you are a scout and you saw Madison Bumgarner and 6'4", 230, you just put an S or for success or Superman.
Right.
Spit him out of the computer. Bronson Arroyo looks more like a lead guitarist for some band.
Right.
Yeah, that S fit him well back in 2010, Bumgarner. With that great postseason he had for San Francisco. He was a star, one of the breakout stars. There were a few, and that's what it takes to win a championship. Bumgarner with the bulk move, as many say, Dusty Baker among others. He did have 5 pickoffs this year, but he does allow a ton of stolen bases. Rowland not much of a credit for it. Hanigan takes another ball. That's 6 straight balls for Madison Bumgarner, and a quick visit for Dave Righetti, the Giant pitching coach.
It tells you a little bit how tenable, a little bit about how tenable Bumgarner's been pitching lately. When in the second inning, the first sign of trouble, the pitching coach is out there, Dave Righetti.
He's a guy that when he was coming up through their system was a little bit temperamental. Even the year that he was called up in 2010, just prior to his 21st birthday, he was having a little trouble with an umpire one night and actually turned and fired the baseball over the center field wall in the minor leagues, was ejected, suspended, and kind of a turning point in his season and his career, trying to get a grip on trying not to overreact to everything that happens to him on the field.
He might have been called up because he was able to throw the ball over the center field wall. They said, you know, he belongs in the big leagues.
Well, he's thrown 9 pitches in this inning. 7 balls, 2 strikes. And the 2-0 pitch to Hanigan is in there for a strike. 2-1.
I bet you one of the things Rigetti said, Scott Rowland is at first base. Don't worry about him at first. Just concentrate on the hitter.
Ryan Ludwick, a leadoff home run in this second inning. Reds are on top. Hanigan fouls it away.
Hanigan's the only guy that got the hit in that one-hit shutout earlier this year. Came in the 6th inning.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Hanigan. Was 1 for 4 last night. Scored a run. And a swing and a miss. So Bumgarner comes back, strikes out Hanigan for out number 2.
Turned that one over a little bit, ran it away from him. Didn't look like it ever had the plate, but got Hanigan to offer.
I believe that's a part of the plate he doesn't use more often. He becomes a pitcher to right-handers. It's middle of the plate in. That outside corner is open for him.
So 2 men are out. Rowland still at first, and it is Drew Stubbs batting in the 8th spot in this Cincinnati order. Stubbs had a hit last night. In his first at bat, he singled and scored. He was on base when Brandon Phillips homered in the 3rd inning. He was 1 for 4. Low batting average this year at .213, but he does have power. Stubbs with 14 home runs this season. Bumgarner had trouble allowing home runs during the regular season. 23 and a little soft liner to first. Inning is over. Big swing of the bat tonight gives the Reds the early lead, and now Buster Posey will lead off for San Francisco. He swings at the first pitch and fouls it away. Posey, just 25 years of age. An all-star this year, was the rookie of the year in 2010, but remember, he came up in the early summer in 2010, was injured last year, so you could say this is his first full season in the major leagues, and yet he's already a bona fide star in this league.
First full season might result in an MVP.
24 home runs during the regular years. Only 7 of them came here at AT&T Park. But it feels like, and it could be part of the Reds' bats, but it feels like the ball is traveling much better than what we are accustomed to here in this venue, especially into center field and right center.
I agree. And if you look at the flags at the top of the scoreboard, which is the direction that Ludwick hit his home run, they are pretty much straight out. So anything in the air that direction is going to get some help.
2 balls and a strike on Posey. Posey made the final out last night. Came up with the bases loaded. It was a wild pitch that scored a run, and the Giants were within 3. Posey was the tying run. Chapman struck him out to end it. A slow roller over to Zach Cozart. Posey retired. Well, Johnny Cueto has returned to Cincinnati, and that is certainly a big story for the Reds moving forward. And we check in with Tom Verducci.
Oh, that's right, Brian. The Reds actually have 23 active players in uniform today because 2 of their starting pitchers did travel back to Cincinnati. You mentioned Johnny Cueto. He went back to get some more treatment on the back spasm he suffered last night in Game 1. They said he was feeling better before he got back on the plane. And Homer Bailey, the other starting pitcher, also returned to Cincinnati. He is now lined up to start Game 3.
Hunter Pence on the first pitch, a soft liner for out number 2. And getting back to Cueto here, so Johnny Cueto throws 8 pitches last night. He leaves after 1 out. He went a third of an inning, and yet the Reds were able to recover. Sam LeCure, a great job. Matt Latos went 4 innings, and the Reds were able to beat San Francisco and put themselves in that underdog position. You guys have talked to Dusty Baker. Ron, you've pitched with back spasms. What is your forecast for Johnny Cueto moving forward? Can he resume play in this series?
Well, certainly can. I think back spasms are exactly how they're defined. You know, they come and go. The trainers are so good at this level. They know how to treat that without whatever medicine they can use. What the Reds would love to do is play so well in this series that they can save Johnny for the next series.
And just so you know, you can replace a player due to injury, but once you take that player off, if the Reds chose to take Cueto off the active roster, he would not be eligible again until the World Series. So that's why he will stay on the roster, according to Walt Jocketty, the general manager, and they'll try to work through it. As Belt, a little tapper foul.
And the nice thing about it being, if there's anything nice about it in terms of that roster problem, is that he's a starting pitcher. It's not a position player that you're losing every night and wondering, do we need an extra guy on the bench or somebody to take his place in the starting lineup. So from a starting pitcher standpoint, they have some time to wait, and they're a little bit non-committal as far as whether or not they will think about using him later in the series.
As Tom mentioned, Homer Bailey will get the start against Ryan Vogelsong. Those 2 starting pitchers announced by their managers today. That'll be Game 3 Tuesday.
And I don't think we give enough credit to Sam LeCure. He's one of those pitchers that's long man, middle man. No one ever talks about those pitchers, and he got on the mound in an emergency. Dusty Baker talked about how fearless he was, and really one of the big reasons they won the game last night.
And about how fast he can warm up. That was part of it too.
Belt strikes out. Bronson Arroyo with his first K. He's retired 6 in a row, and we head to the 3rd. The mound for the Giants. We head to the 3rd inning as Bronson Arroyo will lead off. Cincinnati pitcher and Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Montana, San Francisco legend, in attendance tonight among the patrons here. The sellout crowd at AT&T Park as Arroyo rolls one out to Crawford for out number 1. Nothing but strikes for Madison Bumgarner since Righetti's mound visit last inning. Well, the big hit brought to you by avocados from Mexico, and Brandon Phillips with adios last night. And had a big game last night. Brandon Phillips, that 2-run home run. He added another RBI single in the 9th inning. Had 3 hits last night, 3 for 5. And a much different story, Joe, this time around for the Reds. Remember, Brandon Phillips made the final out in Game 1 of the LDS against the Phillies. That capped off Roy Halladay's no-hitter. And much different story last night.
Yeah, led to the sweep. But what he did last night with his 2-run homer in the 3rd and then Bruce's homer in the 4th, they just took the crowd completely out of it. And this is such a big home field advantage crowd-wise for any team, but especially here in San Francisco. And tonight it's Ludwick who takes the crowd out of it with his 2nd inning homer.
That feels very similar to last night as Phillips into right center field, and Pence out number 2. Matt Weiner is in our Atlanta studios tonight. Matt, what do you have? Long rain delay there, very similar to Game 1 of the ALDS last year with the Yankees. CC Sabathia on the mound tonight. And baseball back in the Beltway. Postseason baseball in the Beltway. The Nationals had a thrilling win today over the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Orioles, after their wild card victory, tied up with the Yanks. No balls and 2 strikes to count on Zach Cozart. He rips one foul. Full day of baseball today. Postseason baseball. This is the 4th. A quadruple header of postseason baseball, and 2 series getting underway today. Washington and St. Louis, and New York and Baltimore.
We're getting some good swings at his fastball run. And that was an 0-2 pitch.
Another 0-2, misses down and in.
Most effective pitch has been the slider and the changeup for Bumgarner so far. Buster would look at the feet, look at the face of Zach Cozart, and then sign.
And a strikeout for Bumgarner. Went with a breaking ball. Cozart strikes out, and that is number 4 for Madison. Finished off the 2nd inning with a strikeout of Brandon Belt. And now he will face Gregor Blanco, left-handed hitting left fielder, followed by Brandon Crawford, and the pitcher Bumgarner.
Gregor Blanco shortened up on the bat right there. Looked like he was going to try to not bunt, but maybe push one past Scott Rowan, who's taking the bunt away at third base.
I figure the Giants have to start doing something offensively. Try to get something jump-started, whether it's a bunt, hit, run if a man gets on, maybe a stolen base. Coach Bochy was pretty adamant about trying to put one on the board as quick as he could, maybe having to push the envelope a little bit with his offense.
Well, he can't count on Bronson Arroyo to help him out because he just doesn't walk many guys. 202 innings this year, 35 walks. And one of the amazing numbers I read about him was that he only issued 2 leadoff walks all year long to any leadoff batter in an inning. Martin Prado was one, Alexei Amarista the other.
A 12-win year for Arroyo and an ERA at 3.74. Impressive when you consider the ballpark he plays in, and he's a fly ball pitcher. He'll do that on occasion. He'll drop down 3/4. This time he missed, and it's 1-2.
I know we live in a high-tech world here, especially Silicon Valley, very close, but Ryan Hanigan having to give a Rolodex of signs in between every pitch for Arroyo.
Yeah.
Bronson Arroyo made 2 starts against the Giants this year, one in April in Cincinnati, went 5 innings, 1 earned run. And then he pitched here in July at AT&T Park. He went 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Took no decisions in both of those starts. Blanco slashes one toward left. Ludwick a long way to go, and that'll end up in the seats.
Veteran pitcher. You were talking about how he took his time to get on the field. A lot of time between innings. Now taking his time to give his left fielder, who's a little long in the tooth, a little more extra time to get back in his position.
This has a great sense of the game. He has a great feel on the mound. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Arroyo's been to the postseason before. He's made starts in the playoffs. He matched up against Roy Oswalt back in 2010. He pitched pretty well against the Phillies in 2010. Pitched into the 6th inning in Philadelphia. As Blanco lifts one in the air to right, down the line, long run for Bruce, and we'll watch that one bounce. Bruce kind of pulled up on that baseball as it bounces into the seats.
One of the things for an outfielder when you're not used to a ballpark, the Reds don't play in the National League West. They only come here 1 time a year, and he's uncertain of his room that he had over there.
See, most outfielders, the only way to make that play, because there isn't a lot of fall room, is to go into that slide and try to make it while you're sliding.
The nooks and crannies of the outfield configuration here at AT&T Park can be a challenge for right fielders. And down he goes. Arroyo on the 8th pitch strikes out Gregor Blanco. 7 in a row for Bronson Arroyo. as we check in with Tom Verducci.
Well, Bronson Arroyo putting on a clinic in terms of adding and subtracting off of his pitches. 32 pitches thrown in this game at 13 different speeds in a spectrum between 69 and 89. His pitches seem like snowflakes right now, no two alike.
Exactly right, Tom. And one of the things about a guy that's a finesse type pitcher, which he is, you know right away if they've got good stuff based on contact. So far, so good for Arroyo. It's great.
And that has really carried forward with the Cincinnati pitching staff. If there's one thing that has changed with the Reds starting pitching, and they had some of the best pitching in the big leagues this year, is exactly what Tom mentioned, the adding and subtracting. And now Homer Bailey does it. Johnny Cueto has implemented that part to his game. Even Matt Latos bought into that philosophy.
Next to Dusty Baker, that's Brian Price, the pitching coach for the Cincinnati Reds. Also, don't overlook this, Brian. So sorry, Brian Price. When you got a guy named Bronson Arroyo, we talked about how durable he is, never goes on the disabled list, makes every start. That filters down with all your young starters, and that's why they only had one other person start a game this summer.
And a strike on the corner to Crawford. Ball and 2 strikes. Pitcher Bumgarner, who is a threat with the bat, waiting to hit next. Arroyo with back-to-back strikeouts, has retired 7 straight. See what he has in mind here for Brandon Crawford. He had a 1-2 count. Down he goes, a spinner for a swing and a miss. And 3 consecutive strikeouts for Arroyo, and now 2 gone in this 3rd inning.
That may not have been exactly where they wanted it target-wise, but very effective down and into the back foot. And a contrast to the strikeout to Blanco, which was a backdoor pitch, dropped down. So 2 different ways to get 2 left-handed hitters. Very effective.
And some frustrated at-bats for the Giants to start. A slower breaking ball at 74. Knowing the pitcher's up there to sit dead red. And Bumgarner takes a big cut. Bumgarner hit a couple of home runs this year. Bumgarner is a threat with the bat. He can hit him a long way. And Arroyo, respecting that, has gotten ahead of him with breaking balls. 1-2. Arroyo trying to strike out the side, and a swing and a miss. He does so. 3 up, 3 down, 3 strikeouts gives him 4 total. 9 up, 9 down for Arroyo to get his night started. Brian Anderson with Ron Darling and Joe Simpson. Tom Verducci. We move along to the 4th inning here. Bronson Arroyo 9 up and 9 down, perfect through the first 3. And Joey Votto will lead off against Madison Bumgarner here in the 4th inning. Votto a strikeout victim in the first. Ryan Ludwick responsible for the lone run in this game, a leadoff home run in the 2nd.
You know, we got to see a lot of umpires during the summer. None better than Brian O'Nora behind the plate.
He did a great job last night umpiring at first and hustling over on that good play by Brandon Belt, being right on the rail with him.
1-2 on Joey Votto. Still choking up on the bat. Something new for Joey Votto as he's come back and struggled with his power, as the guys talked about after that knee injury. Had knee surgery, knocked him out for 7 weeks of the season. A meniscus tear in his left knee, which is his push knee. And Votto back up the middle, a base hit. A leadoff single for Cincinnati as Joey Votto delivers with his first hit of the postseason in 2012.
What'd you say his on-base percentage since he came back is almost 500, 1 for 2 now.
Well, Ryan Ludwick Much like Brandon Phillips last night, quiets down this crowd, goes deep to center field. Ludwick, a home run to start the second inning. Jumping on Bumgarner quickly in that second inning.
Told you about his average on the first pitch, and he swings at the first pitch 40% of the time.
Ludwick missed a little time down the stretch in September. Reds had a comfortable lead, and they clinched the division on September 22nd, same day the Giants clinched the West. But Ludwick had a groin issue and was hobbled, but because the Reds had the lead that they did, afforded Ludwick to take some time off and make sure he was 100% entering the postseason, which he says he is. That ball's roped into center field, a base hit. So the Reds staying in the middle of the field here in the fourth. Back-to-back singles. And Bumgarner in trouble now with 2 on and nobody out.
The hard part about this motion, Joe, is that the catch-22 is that there's deception. But when he drops his arm back there so far, it's hard for him to get inside on the right-hander. That's the tough plate, part of the plate for him.
Well, and for right-handed hitters, unlike the lefties, they get a good look at that pitch from out there too. They can track it pretty well, even one that's biting in on them.
Jay Bruce now with 2 on. And there's strike 1.
Lefties only hit .208 against Bumgarner, but right-handers a respectable .241. And 19 of the 23 homers he allowed were to righties.
'25-year-old Texan Jay Bruce pulls that one foul. So many young stars in this matchup. Guys like Jay Bruce and Buster Posey, a pair of 25-year-olds. Bumgarner just 23 years of age. That's the trend in baseball over the last couple of seasons. Has him down, no balls, 2 strikes. Bruce and Votto, from the time they arrived in the big leagues in 08, and both received Rookie of the Year votes that season, the year Giovanni Soto of the Cubs won that award. They were everyday players right away because of how they handled left-handed pitching. 2 premier left-handed bats. And Bruce out in front, pops it up. Guess what? Infield fly rule. Even though it ended up in foul territory. I got the 4 infield fly rules over the last 3 days for us.
Well, they know that it can be handled.
So that's a big out for Bumgarner. I mean, we all do games in the regular season. You might go a month without seeing infield fly rules.
Well, but beginning next year, no infield fly rule from now on will ever be taken lightly.
That's right. 2 on for Roland on the first pitch, and a base hit into right center. And they're going to wave home Joey Votto to throw to the plate. Not in time. Votto scores. The other 2 advance, and Cincinnati up 2-0 on a Scott Rowland RBI single.
Check out the swing first, fought it off a little bit of an inside out swing, but then Hunter Pence, who got to it quickly, came up throwing, his mistake. And the first one defensively for the Giants, he overthrows everybody, and that allowed Rowland to get into scoring position.
Reds lead 2-0. 3 hits in the inning against Madison Bumgarner.
It's really been the tale of the first, 13.5 innings here, is that the Reds have made every play. The Giants have not. And the pitching has been much better for the Reds. These times a year, you just can't make those kind of mistakes, especially with 1 out. Keep the runner at first base, you keep the double play in order.
Right.
It's just so many good things can happen if you hit the cutoff man.
And I said there were no mistakes last night made defensively by the Giants, and yet in the 9th inning they got 2 runs with some mistakes at the plate, wild pitches. It set up a pass ball by Posey that cost him some important runs late.
Now the Giants will get their bullpen active in the 4th inning. Ryan Hanigan at the plate, 2nd and 3rd with 1 away, and on the first pitch Hanigan goes back up the middle. 1 run is in. Ludwick, here comes Roland, no throw. A 2 RBI single for Ryan Hanigan, and the Reds aggressive after Madison Bumgarner. Back-to-back hits, producing runs on the first pitch.
And the point of this play goes back to the defensive lapse. The infield wouldn't have been playing in, they would have been playing back for a potential double play, and this is like a tailor-made area for a double play ball.
Have you seen the last 2 hitters, though, in RBI situations? Both Roland, both Hanigan, going the other way off the left-hander.
3 runs are in now, 4-0 Cincinnati. And Bumgarner on the ropes here as Stubbs takes a ball. A lightning quick rally for the Reds. Yamamoto in the San Francisco bullpen trying to get ready as fast as he can. Stubbs up, got the pitcher Arroyo on deck. And a strike. Saw Mota last night win a 1/3 of an inning. Just 6 pitches last night for Guillermo Mota. Last time Bumgarner pitched in the postseason, it was a World Series game, and he went 8 shutout against the Texas Rangers. Much different story here tonight.
Well, you just saw Drew Stubbs just unbutton his shirt and try to launch one. They're up 4-0 now. They've got a little cushion, and these guys are going to start cutting it loose.
Especially in front of the pitcher, Arroyo, despite Arroyo being a real threat at the plate also.
Bruce Bochy hoping for a double play ball here. Stubbs is very fast. He's tough to double up. And he fouls that one away. Well, this Reds ball club, you know, Dusty Baker told us yesterday, Joe, you mentioned it in our open yesterday, that this is a much different team than what we saw in 2010. A postseason team. They're much more balanced. They've got experience now. They've been to the postseason. Even though things didn't go well, this ball club really has a lot of weapons to beat you.
Well, a disappointing year last year. They wanted to build off 2010 and have things change in their favor in 2011. It didn't happen. But this year they come back. And as you pointed out last night, Brian, these guys won more games than any team for the Cincinnati Reds since the heyday of the Big Red Machine.
Cincinnati with 97 victories this year. Second best record behind the Nationals. And Stubbs, a bouncing ball. Got a chance. 4-6. Safe. Stubbs flying down the line. Extends the inning. That was well turned by the Giants. Scooter to Crawford. But Stubbs too fast. And the inning continues. 2 outs.
Well, nice by Scutero. Good toss. Crawford has an outstanding arm. Avoids the slide and just the amazing speed. Belt tried to come off that bag early, but cannot against Drew Stubbs.
Only 2 double plays hit into this year by Stubbs and over 500 plate appearances.
Well, if nothing else, it allows the Reds to clear their pitcher spot this inning. And Arroyo swinging away at the first pitch. Pence a long way to go. And that ball's trouble, but Pence makes the catch. That ball had a hook on it. The wind really took it back. Pence hung with it. And the inning is over. But Cincinnati puts a 3 spot on the board in the 4th, and they lead 4-0. He's given up 4 runs. Reds have 5 hits on the board thus far. Meanwhile, his mound opponent, Bronson Arroyo, is perfect through the first 3. And is on a string of 4 consecutive strikeouts as he goes back to the top of the Giants order. Second time through the batting order now for the Giants against Arroyo. Angel Pagan flew out to right his first time up, hit it hard, but was caught at the track by Jay Bruce.
Well, the Giants know what they got to do now, guys. I mean, they got to score 5 at least if they're going to win tonight. And last night, even though they left 11 men on base, they only had one inning in which they had more than one hit. They got to start piecing some things together.
What you have to do, though, if you're an offense, your table setter's got to get on base. Pagan and Scudero so far in these 2 games are 1 for 12.
And Bruce Bochy, who is a master of the bullpen, might get in there a lot earlier than he hoped. Had activity in the bullpen last inning. Bumgarner was able to get through the 4th inning. Giants not an offense built to score a lot of runs, although they've been much better in the second half of the regular season. A 4-run deficit feels like a lot more than that for this ball club in this ballpark. This is down and in. That'll fill the count. 3-2 on Pagan. Marcos Scudero next.
He went 3-2 on the leadoff man last inning and got Blanco on a backdoor breaking ball and dropped down.
See what he has in mind for him here. The 3-2 on the ground to second. And out number 1. Arroyo has retired 10 in a row. Moments ago between innings, we had a chance to visit with Cincinnati manager Dusty Baker. Well, Dusty, this Reds offense is back in line. Talk us through what this team has been this year offensively.
Well, like we've been kind of, up and down. And, most of the time we hit the ball at the ballpark, we score runs, which we're doing tonight and last night. So, you hate to depend on the long ball, but, hey, you can take it. You have to take it when you can. So, the main thing is our guys keep fighting, and they battle and they battle and they battle, and that's what they're doing tonight.
Dusty, this is Joe. Bronson Arroyo off to a great start. He struck out the last 4 guys he's faced. Have you seen him sharper than this season?
Well, something, he's been sharp the last few starts, just like this. And, he hasn't been the recipient of very many runs. I mean, that's the main thing. But Bronson, when his velocity is up, 87, 88, and his breaking balls as tough as it is tonight, this guy's hard to hit.
And our thanks to Dusty Baker. You wonder if that extra day's rest has allowed Arroyo to find a few miles per hour with that fastball. This is day 6 he's pitching on.
And that's what Dusty Baker said. When his velocity is up, he's a much more effective pitcher. The thing that Dusty addressed before the game today is that this team has been such a resilient bunch. They lose their closer in spring training, Ryan Madsen. They lose their best player, Joey Votto, for 7 weeks. Johnny Cueto, their best starting pitcher, leaves after 8 pitches, and their manager is away from the team with an irregular heartbeat and a mini stroke, and they still win 97 games.
Yeah, the Reds were 7-4 during that stretch that Baker was gone. Arroyo knocks it down. The Gold Glover makes the play, retiring Scudero for out number 2. Well, he is just carving up the Giants so far tonight. So Cincinnati with those 97 wins. You got to go back to the 1976 Reds, the Big Red Machine under Sparky Anderson. They won 102 games, but the 97 victories, the most since that time. Reds ran away with the Central Division. They outlasted the Cardinals by 9 games this year, and one of the dominant home teams in the National League in the regular season. Cincinnati won 50 ball games in their home ballpark, and that's what's sitting ahead for Cincinnati as they return home on Tuesday. Sandoval fouls it out of play.
On top of that, Brian, they had the second best road record too, second only to Washington with 47 wins.
Tom Verducci had a nice report about the different speeds, adding and subtracting. You watch Bronson Arroyo throw, very rarely do you see the same pitch twice.
No balls and 2 strikes. And Sandoval plays off. Arroyo made starts for the Boston Red Sox back in 2004 when they ended up in the World Series against the Cardinals in 2004. Arroyo made a couple of relief appearances for Boston. And a bouncing ball, well positioned, Cozart. And the side is retired, and Bronson Arroyo has retired 12 straight. And a booming home run from Ryan Ludwick in the second, and the Reds chipped away at Bumgarner in the fourth. Scoring 3 runs on 4 hits, all singles. RBIs in that inning from Rowland and Hanigan. Hanigan drove it a pair. Reds are back at the top of their order. Bullpen activity for the Giants is Phillips. Nice easy hop for Sandoval, and 1 away. And this becomes a very important inning for Madison Bumgarner. Desperate need of a 0, and the Giants, it just feels dead here in San Francisco. The crowd is out of it. We saw a very similar scene yesterday. The Giants struggled swinging the bats yesterday. Stranded 11 base runners.
You know it's important when you haven't faced a hitter and you're getting the reliever up just in case. It's almost like Bruce Bochy is saying, cannot allow another run.
Right. And it was almost as if Bruce Bochy waited until just as Bumgarner was ready to make his first pitch of the inning to send the reliever down there. Didn't want to have to see him warming up while he was warming up on the game mound.
Hard to be secretive in this ballpark when you're sending guys to the bullpen because they're in foul territory down each line.
Peripheral vision of these athletes at this level, they pick it up.
Yeah, they get it, right? Even the left-hander Bumgarner.
That's right.
Now, that was what was so impressive about Latos yesterday, is all that excitement is going on and all the drama in that Reds dugout. Latos took his time. He went out to that bullpen mound. He knew he had an entire inning to get loose. Went through his complete routine yesterday, and that's why Sam LeCure's effort was so important, that it gave Latos time to do what he normally does. And Latos would end up going 4 innings last night, and he wanted the ball. He raised his hand.
And you were telling me earlier that he had a pretty good workout side session before the game.
Latos said not only did he throw a side session before the game that included some long tossing and about 20 pitches on the mound, he also worked out. He lifted his normal between starts lifting, which is amazing that he could come back and have that kind of feel and go 4 strong last night. The bullpen was spectacular last night as the Reds recovered from what could have been disaster with their ace leaving early.
Yeah, the guy that had the roughest outing was Chapman.
1-2 pitch. Cozart fouls it away.
Well, I think you mentioned minor leagues for Madison Bumgarner and how he would be very temperamental. I think that's a word you could use with Matt Latos early in his career, and he's still only 23. But it really tells you that there's some maturity setting in for the right-hander for the Reds.
Cozart, little half swing. They'll ask if he went, and no, he did not. Jerry Davis says he checked his swing, and it's 2-2. That was close.
I'd say he got away with one there.
So Cozart's still alive, 1 away. Bouncer foul. Well, Matt Latos never one to hold back his comments, and he and Sam LeCure both said today that they felt, now that they've had a chance to think about what happened last night, probably the best thing for them. Their first postseason appearances, there was no time to think. instantly into the game for LeCoeur, instantly into the bullpen to get ready for Latos. Most athletes don't like to admit that. They like to claim that they can handle anything, but those two said that was a great way to start a postseason career.
I just liked last night where we showed the dugout when they were debating what they were going to do, and Latos was pointing to himself and ready, like,
pick me, coach.
Yeah, pick me.
Pitch number 9 coming of this at bat. And Cozart lines one into left field, a base hit. On the 9th pitch, Zach Cozart singles, and his second hit of the postseason. Hey, just a reminder, you can watch bonus camera angles for the Division Series and ALCS games with postseason.tv. Get started now at MLB.com. Big day of postseason baseball today. As the Tigers won again, they're up 2-0 on the Oakland Athletics. Nationals came back to beat the Cardinals. Tyler Moore had a 2 RBI hit in the 8th inning to give the Nationals the lead against St. Louis, and they would hang on to win there.
Nats survived, what was it, 7 walks from Gio Gonzalez, season high.
Gonzalez went just 5 innings today. A Cy Young candidate. Postseason baseball in the Bay has not gone well so far. The A's down 2-0 now to the Tigers. That series will return to Oakland on Tuesday.
Heartbreaking loss for the Athletics, who took the lead in the top of the 8th. Lost it in the bottom, and a walk-off by Don Kelly on a sacrifice fly.
Good one to Votto, and that's a strike on the corner. Don Kelly was so fired up after that walk-off sac fly, he actually picked Prince Fielder up. I know those stories about guys with adrenaline, they pick up a car.
Yes.
That's country strong as it gets.
This, by the way, Don Kelly's going to be replaced on the roster tomorrow for the rest of the postseason.
2-2 to Votto. Didn't miss by much. Votto does not bite, and it's 3-2. Ryan Ludwick on deck. Well, we'll see if Dusty Baker keeps the pressure on here. Does he send his runner Cozart? 1 out. Could be Bumgarner's last hitter. Checks on Cozart.
A 4-0 lead. I'd send the runner here. Push the envelope.
And I think that's why he's given up a lot of stolen bases. If you guess right, or if you just time it right, and he breaks, slow to the plate.
Votto into the opposite field, a base hit. So after the home run in the second by Ludwick, the Reds now singling Bumgarner to death, and that's going to do it. Bumgarner is out, and the Giants have to go to their bullpen in the 5th inning.
Good piece of hitting here on a 3-2 count by Joey Votto, and it goes to what Dusty Baker was talking to us about before the game, and we were asking him about Votto's kind of armsy swing. He said, I just want him to have the ball stay on his bat a little longer, which basically means let the ball travel a little more and not be so flippy with his hands. That was a great example of it there. Good swing.
With Ryan Ludwick coming up, the Giants go to their bullpen, and George Contos will take a break. Bumgarner is out 4 1/3. He gives up 7 hits, 4 earned runs at this point, and still 2 runners that are his responsibility. 6 of the 7 hits singles by the Reds, and all of those 6 have come in the last 2 innings. Here's Ludwick. 2 for 2 tonight. Lays off. Ludwick had 2 hits. He saw just 3 pitches to get those 2 hits. Belted the first pitch in the 2nd inning out of the ballpark in center, and then had a single on the 2nd pitch he saw in the 4th.
I think my feeling here after the 2 innings last night is that Contos is here just to face Ludwick. One batter and bring in the lefty Maharis to face Bruce.
Two on, one out. And a bouncing ball. Crawford goes to second for the first out, the turn, and it is in time. Somehow Belt kept the toe on the bag. George Contos with a huge double play. Boy, what a beautiful play. Brandon Crawford to Marco Scudero to Brandon Belt. And yes, indeed, he kept his foot on the bag. Giants down 4-0. Posey leading off for the second consecutive at-bat in this game. Bronson Arroyo is perfect through 4, and he deals Posey strike 1. Giants turn a beautiful double play to end the top of the 5th. Contos comes in, gets 2 outs with 1 swing of the bat. Bronson Arroyo has retired 12 straight and a stretch of 4 consecutive strikeouts. Tim Lincecum. As Posey in the hole. Cozart with a strong arm makes a perfect throw for out number 1. 13 in a row for Bronson Arroyo, as we hear from Tom Verducci.
Well, we saw Matt Latos, the starting pitcher, bail out the Reds coming out of the bullpen tonight. Tim Lincecum, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, is in the bullpen for manager Bruce Bochy. He recently, after a talk with Dave Righetti, has taken off the sweatshirt to get himself prepared for this game. Now, he was told before this series began there was not a guaranteed start for him in this series. Bochy is going with Ryan Vogelsong in game number 3.
Pence a chopper. Scott Rowland, and he takes care of Hunter Pence. Bruce Bochy was talking about Vogelsong in game 3, and then we started looking ahead to game 4, depending on where the Giants are in the series. If they are still alive, you would figure Matt Cain would come back if they are down. And it was Bochy that brought up Barry Zito. Tim Lincecum wasn't part of that conversation, and down into the bullpen he goes.
It doesn't matter who's pitching where and who's in the bullpen or not, because we're talking about a rally for the San Francisco Giants. And Joe, they need a hit.
Yeah, talking about how they need to get some guys on base to put some hits together. They just need base runners at this point. Nobody's reached. Bronson Arroyo has been terrific.
He's retired 14 straight. Brandon Belt, a strikeout victim in the 2nd. Popped him up. Remember the wind pushing it back toward the field. This one's going to end up in the seats. And Tom Moore on Lincecum.
Yeah, I think Bruce Bochy made it a little bit clear that his preferences are either Matt Cain or Barry Zito if we get to a game number 4. And I asked Bochy if Lincecum in that conversation was very difficult, and he said no. That Tim Lincecum knows where he's at right now. Vogelsong has been the more consistent starter, and actually Lincecum felt he was excited about the opportunity to help this team out in any capacity as a relief pitcher.
That gives you an idea of where Tim Lincecum has gone to now. Giants fans have been watching Lincecum all year, and they get that, and they get where he is and how he has struggled at times this season. But for a national audience, if you think of Tim Lincecum as the dominant 2-time Cy Young Award winner, it's possible he won't be a factor.
Remember in 2010 against the Braves, the first game in that series, he struck out 14 to start their quest for the World Series.
Well, he's not coming in the next inning because he hasn't thrown a pitch down there yet. So he must be trying to go through somewhat of a routine as Maharis gets ready for perhaps the start of the 6th.
3 balls and a strike. Belt into right center field. That ball is down, a base hit. The first of the night for the Giants. It comes with 2 outs in the 5th inning after Arroyo retired 14 in a row. The Giants finally with a base runner. Brandon Belt with a single.
like a fastball that had a lot of the plate. The target was in, but that ball ran right back to the middle of the plate. And maybe the first mistake of the night from Arroyo.
Well, remember in last night's game, that line drive that Votto turned into a double. Brandon Belt taking some of the best at bats for this Giant club.
Right now the Giants looking for a big bolt here. Gregor Blanco at the plate. 2 outs in the San Francisco 5th inning. Blanco had a good night last night. He had 2 hits and a walk. He doubled. It went into the right center field gap in the 2nd inning. Also had a bunt single. Arroyo perfect through 4 2/3 before giving up the single to Belt. Right off the end of the bat, right to Scott Rowland. And the Giants are retired in the 5th. No hitter lost. Shutout still intact for Bronson Arroyo. He's through 5. But we'll see. Lincecum is in the game, facing Jay Bruce. And a 90-mile-an-hour fastball tells you that he looks like he's in pretty good shape.
He came onto the mound to warm up, throwing his best heater. He had to have thrown in the understadium batting cages.
Jay Bruce just fouled.
Has anyone hit the ball harder than Jay Bruce has in his first 2 games?
Squaring it up, isn't he?
There's Xavier Nady in left field on the double switch. Blanco is out. Nady with its 2nd in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lincecum in the game. A relief appearance for Lincecum. So he did a little light tossing, and we saw this, but never got on the rubber and never, threw like you would before you'd come into a game with purpose. That was all he did between innings. So much so he didn't think he was coming in the game. To sit down.
At some point you want to get to 60 feet 6 inches. That's kind of the deal.
That's the rule.
Maybe he doesn't need it. Well, he looks all right. 2-2 the count. Giants put the shift on with 2 strikes on Bruce. And Bruce into center field. The Wind taking that back. Pagan makes the catch on the warning track, just shy of the wall. And Jay Bruce is retired. 1 away for Lincecum. Now this postseason, for the first time, MLB Network has Division Series game telecast coming up this Wednesday. Don't miss any of the action, and a game you can only see on MLB Network. Go to MLBnetwork.com for schedule and channel number. As Tom Verducci reported, Lincecum, upon hearing the news from Bochy, looking forward to the chance to contribute in some way, and even if it's not in a starting role, he is in there trying to pitch some big innings for the Giants. Down 4-0 as we play in the 6th.
Barring an injury, could you have foreseen 2 years ago the Giants being in the postseason again without Tim Lincecum making a start?
Making the first start, right? Yeah. As Matt Cain has taken over as the ace.
Lincecum had a rough season. He lost 15 ball games. Led the National League in losses. Those back-to-back Cy Young Award years in 2008 and 2009. And a swing and a miss to Rowland.
Now, even last year, he had a losing record, but he had an excellent ERA, a sub-3 ERA. He had some bad luck. It's not the case this year.
Always known for that big windup, pitching from the stretch.
2-2 on Scott Rowland. A single that is up on an RBI his last time up. And a bouncing ball, a jam shot out to second. Scudero makes the play for out number 2. Well, if Bruce Bochy wanted to jump a little life into this crowd, Lincecum's the guy to do it if he can get through this Reds lineup. He got a huge ovation when he was announced as the next Giants pitcher in this game. Lincecum with 2 gone. And strike 1 to Ryan Hanigan. Hanigan drove in 2 with a single in the 4th inning. Bumgarner gave up that home run to Ludwick in the 2nd. The Reds with 3 runs in the 4th on 4 singles. Two.
Igniting this crowd's one thing. If this is what it takes to ignite their team, the Giants will take it. It rarely comes from a guy making a relief appearance in the 6th inning.
Not just any other guy, though, is he?
Nope.
Arroyo trying to quiet him back down. Arroyo has been outstanding in this game. He has retired 15 of 16 batters he has faced. He's given up just 1 hit. That was a 2-out single last inning by Brandon Belt. Crawford on the ground, and Phillips for out number 1. After Lincecum came off the mound, and remember, it looked like Maharis was supposed to come in. Lincecum was the guy to get the call, and he strikes out Ryan Hanigan, a pump with a fist. It's his 3rd career relief appearance. He did pitch in Game 6 of the NLCS against the Phillies back in 2010 out of the bullpen. Arroyo just pouring into strikes.
Throwing more fastballs in this game than I've probably ever seen him throw.
But he is pinpoint with it. He's keeping it down unless he's ahead in the count, and Hanigan wants a high fastball thrown, and he'll deliver it there too.
Xavier Nady, bouncer to Phillips. 2 up and 2 down quickly. You got to give a lot of credit to Arroyo. He just keeps doing his thing, and he's putting together one of the best starts of his career here tonight. Don't forget, on Monday coming up, MLB On Deck presented by Dodge Dart at 4 o'clock Eastern, and then on TBS it's a doubleheader of postseason baseball. Game 2's tomorrow. Washington at St. Louis. It'll be Jordan Zimmerman for the Nationals against Jaime Garcia for the Cardinals, and then the Yankees and the Orioles at 8 o'clock. Followed by Inside MLB presented by Captain Morgan. Please remember to drink responsibly. Wei-Yin Chen and Andy Pettit pitching matchup in the American League.
Bronson Arroyo had the 4 straight strikeouts. Those are the only strikeouts of the game for him tonight. Since then, 8 straight ground ball outs with a single mixed in there in between.
What a performance tonight from Arroyo. Facing Pagan for the 3rd time. Arroyo falling behind Pagan. And drops down sidearm to whip a strike in, and it's 2-1.
You know, Ron, you talked about how he's using his fastball more than ever, but he hasn't thrown that many just straight change-ups, and I think it's because his fastball has been 85 to 88. He's used it almost like a change.
He really has, and sinking it also.
You can just sense that pressure the Giants hitters are facing now. And it really started last night. Johnny Cueto had to exit the game. The Reds lost their ace, put the Giants in the advantage. They did not take advantage as Pagan, frustrated, fires his bat. And Bronson Arroyo, another 1-2-3 inning. He's retired 19 of 20. 6 shutout innings for Arroyo. Now, game 2 of this National League Division Series. Tim Lincecum pitching out of the bullpen for San Francisco. His 2nd inning of relief at a 1-2-3 6th inning, and he faces Drew Stubbs to start the 7th. 4-0 our score. Bronson Arroyo, a big story tonight, working on a one-hit shutout through 6 innings. They only hit a Brandon Belt single with 2 away in the 5th.
A little stop and start there, caught a cleat, a little moonwalk back, and ready to go.
Madison Bumgarner started. George Contos, and then Tim Lincecum here. Quickly 0-2 on Stubbs.
Well, Contos' first 2 games in the
Pretty
playoffs.
special.
Wow.
Yeah, Contos with 2 scoreless yesterday, and the double play ball in the 5th inning as Lincecum misses inside to Stubbs. 1-2 to count. We talked about the Cincinnati bullpen, the best bullpen statistically in the National League. Arroyo's already taken him to the 7th. Bullpen quiet. This is Arroyo's game, working on the one-hitter. Stubbs, a pop-up. Back is Brandon Crawford. He wants it. And there is out number 1. Lincecum has retired 4 straight. These best-of-5 series, so important to split the first 2 games if you're the losing team in game 1. Only 4 times in division series play has a team down 0-2 come back and won that series. And last done in 2003, the Red Sox over the Oakland Athletics. Pedro Martinez got the win in game 5. Yankees were the only team to drop the first 2 games at home and come back. That was back in 0-1 against Oakland. They won the last 3 on the road over at the Coliseum. The famous Derek Jeter flip to the plate. And the Giants know what they're up against. Doesn't happen very often. 0-2 to Arroyo.
Manager is conflicted here. Dusty Baker wants his offense to max out. I don't think he'd be too disappointed if Arroyo came back to the bench for the game he's pitching.
Top of the order coming up next, Brandon Phillips. And a 1-2, and Arroyo strikes out, and back to the bench he goes. So 2 gone. Lincecum now with 2 strikeouts. Just a strange way for Lincecum to get into this ball game. A little confusion in that Giants dugout on who it was going to be, Mijares or Lincecum, but Lincecum appears to be the right move at this point. He's retired 5 in a row.
Sometimes when you're down in the bullpen, you don't have a lot of experience. You end up trying to manage out there, thinking that, well, there's a left-hander coming up. Mijares has to be the pitcher. Well, it wasn't to be.
That will be an interesting story after the game about how that all developed and whether or not Tim actually did some throwing before he came out on the field.
Brandon Phillips takes ball 1. It's not a role that Lincecum has been in very often in his career. Just the 3rd time he has pitched in relief. Once in the regular season back in 08, and in the postseason game 6 of the NLCS in 2010. As Phillips goes down the line. And extra bases for the Reds leadoff hitter, Brandon Phillips, with a 2-out double. Continues his hitting ways after 3 hits last night. A double against Lincecum, and the Reds with a runner in scoring position and 2 away.
Again, no stride. Kept his hands inside that baseball. Beautiful swing to pull it past Sandoval. And again, watch his hands work. Getting the barrel to the ball on a pitch inside and kept it fair. Not easy to do.
Great shot there of Phillips clearing his hips to get to that baseball.
Dusty Baker said he's a player that loves the spotlight, and the bigger the stage, the better he is, and he's getting a big stage here and producing. His 4th hit, his first of the night. And now Cozart, that ball hit the umpire. Got past Posey, but Brian Honora with a save and keeps Phillips at second base.
Much
Posey turn around real fast to go look for it. Thank you very much.
Nora standing in as like a cricket dowel, making sure that ball stays in.
It's the first time he's been called that in his life.
That's right. Yeah. I wonder if there's a part of these Reds, and you mentioned it, Brian, of getting swept by the Phillies, no hit in the first game. That if we ever get back again, that's not going to happen. They're playing like that anyway.
Cozart rolls one out to Crawford. And Lincecum with 2 scoreless out of the bullpen for the Giants. 4-0 Cincinnati, getting late here at AT&T Park. Arroyo's faced 19 batters. Just 1 over the minimum. The only blemish on his line tonight is a single by Brandon Belt, if you want to call it a blemish. That was a 2-out single from the Giants first baseman in the 5th. So here we go to the 7th. Marco Scutaro, Pablo Sandoval, and Buster Posey coming up. And a strike to Scutaro. Scutaro lined out in the first inning. Hit the ball sharply to center field, and then he grounded out back to the mound. It was a nice play by Arroyo in the 4th. If Arroyo runs into any trouble, Dusty Baker has the fearsome threesome down there, starting with Sean Marshall, the left-hander who has the 7th, and then Broxton to be followed by Aroldis Chapman. In the air to center field. Looks just like his out in the first inning. Scutaro hit it well, but he's retired and 1 gone in the 7th.
Well, we came on the air talking about the outstanding one-hitter thrown against the Reds by Madison Bumgarner. Well, the tables have been turned here by Arroyo.
6 1/3, which is a career high for him in the postseason. Had a start in 2010 in Game 2 of the NLDS against the Phillies. Made a couple of starts for the Boston Red Sox in 2004. Sandoval in the air, left field, Ludwick. In fair territory for out number 2.
Brian, earlier we were talking tonight about Bumgarner having a very good first half and not so good second half. Well, the opposite is true for Arroyo. Arroyo before the All-Star break was just 4-5, and he went to the whip after the break and finished up 8-5, and he's carried that right into this game tonight.
Jose Mijares loosening for the Giants. 2 quick outs in the 7th inning. Here's Buster Posey now. This is Posey's 8th at-bat of this postseason. It's the 5th time, or make it the 6th time now, that he has been at the plate with nobody on.
In 2008, it was an odds-on favorite. He was the odds-on favorite, Buster Posey, to be the #1 player taken in the draft out of Florida State. But signability issues scared some teams off, and he was not taken first. He was taken 5th after Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Baltimore had taken other players. The Giants said, we'll take him, and I think they're happy about it.
Yeah. What a great pick, and what a star player he has been. The Giants were really hurt by his injury last year as a team. After their euphoria of the World Series in 2010, Posey breaking his ankle. It was a gruesome injury. Broke the lower tibia and ligaments around the ankle. Out for the season on a violent collision at home plate against the Marlins. And their season changed on a dime right there. He is among the favorites for the most valuable player in the National League this year. Posey pops this one up. Hanigan will give it a look. Not a whole lot of room back there, and it's in the seats. an injury that essentially ruined the Giants season. It was early. It was on May 25th. Scott Cousins, and Posey got his leg caught underneath. Cousins barreled him over, created a lot of discussion about catchers unprotected and how the players should barrel in like that. And that was a gruesome injury that he suffered. And even Bruce Bochy, a former big league catcher, chimed in on it.
Bochy had been bowled over by Dave Parker in his day, which caused him to miss a lot of time. Concussion-like syndrome. So he knew firsthand.
3-2. And Posey draws the walk, the first of the night for Bronson Arroyo. Just the second base runner for the Giants. Posey is aboard with Hunter Pence coming up. And Dusty Baker. Discussion with Brian Price.
This inning and this game would be different for the Giants were it not for the overthrow and the throw to the plate by Hunter Pence on the base hit by Scott Rowland, because they got a double play ball right after that. If those things had taken place the way they should have fundamentally, this might be just a 2-0 game.
That was part of a 3-run inning for the Reds in the fourth as Pence takes a strike. Pence, one of the top run producers. At 24 homers this year, 104 runs batted in. He finished 5th in the league in that category, splitting time between the Phillies and the Giants. Strike 2.
He's throwing that pitch, Ron, and I keep looking because I think it's a changeup, and it's not. It's 86, 87. But there's a lot of motion to it. Very deceptive.
Arroyo against Hunter Pence is like the turtle in the hare, isn't it?
Yeah.
One guy going 100 miles an hour and one just looping it in there.
Another guy with real good power that chokes up on the bat.
4-0 Reds, and Pence takes one off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There's a purpose with every pitch. He's gotten ahead. He's taken 2 nibbles outside the strike zone. Let's see if Pence would chase.
Well, he might see if he'll chase one more.
He can also counter with a high fastball, a pitch used. Get back to the curveball.
2-2. Arroyo deals it, and Pence in the air to center field. Playable for Drew Stubbs. And how about Bronson Arroyo on his A game tonight? 7 shutout, only 1 hit allowed and 1 walk. The Giants in danger of falling behind 2-0 as this series will head to Cincinnati after a day off tomorrow at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati Tuesday. Lincecum, after 2 innings, will give way to Jose Mijares.
Mijares' second time to the mound tonight.
He was turned away the first time
when they went with Lincecum instead, and now here in the 8th.
He hit a Bochy wall right about the third base bag.
An unmovable force, by the way.
Yeah, there is a point if you get too far out there when you're in the game at that point. Obviously he wasn't. Oh, that invisible barrier you can't cross over. Joey Votto, Ryan Ludwick, Jay Bruce, a lefty, a righty, and a lefty coming up with Mijares on the mound. And Votto swinging a foul tip, and it's 2-2.
Usually fastball sliders for Mijares. Fastball in the low 90s, sometimes up to 94. After he joined the Giants, lefties only hit 205 against him.
As a waiver claim from the Kansas City Royals, Jose Mijares. Reds got a run in the second, scored 3 in the fourth. But the story is the pitching of Bronson Arroyo. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk. Has 4 strikeouts. Facing just 2 over the minimum at this point. You start looking ahead if you're Dusty Baker. You got this bullpen, this great bullpen. But it is quiet for now. Arroyo in complete command on the mound. And you know he's thinking about a complete game for Arroyo with the pitch count where it is. Just 91 pitches through 7 innings. Easily within range. And a bouncing ball through for Joey Votto, a base hit. Votto with his 3rd hit of the night, all singles. He leads off this 8th inning with a single. Just in case Arroyo has to give way to the bullpen, our peak performance brought to you by Nissan, makers of the all-new Altima. How about that Cincinnati bullpen? In the regular season, a 2.65 bullpen ERA, the best in the major leagues.
If this was a regular season game, I think you'd be at ease with the way Arroyo's throwing, but because of the nature of this postseason game, really is out to out, batter to batter for Arroyo as he makes his quest. If he's perfect, he probably does get the complete game. Any sign of trouble, you'll see the bullpen.
Cincinnati has sent 2 of their starting pitchers back to Cincinnati. Homer Bailey, the Game 3 starter, and Johnny Cueto, who is heading back to Cincinnati for treatment. Trying to get Cueto back in the mix as a starting pitcher. Bronson Arroyo coming up with a brilliant start tonight. Ryan Ludwick, 2 hits, had the home run in the 2nd, had a single and a run scored in the 4th, bounced into a double play in the 5th.
Last night he and Votto were 0 for 6 combined, and tonight they've got 5 hits between them.
A big swing from Ludwick.
Horace is lucky you got this pitch back, Joe.
Good point of contact on the homer. Look how his head's down, that firm front side. Let the ball travel a little bit and hit it where it was pitched, out away from him, straightaway center. Just a beautiful swing.
Ludwick was an all-star back in 08. Tony La Russa penciled him in the 2-hole in front of Albert Pujols, and that turned into be a great spot for Ryan Ludwick. Did a lot of damage batting second for the Cardinals in 2008. Hit 37 home runs that year. Two balls, 2 strikes on Ludwick, with Votto at first, leading off the inning with a single. Good block by Posey.
Again, this goes to not being able to afford any more runs. Posey sacrificing his body to get in front of that one to keep the runner at first.
So the count goes full. Jose Mijares steals a 3-2, and Ludwick takes ball 4. So the Reds putting the pressure on, 2 on with nobody out. Dave Righetti, the Giants pitching coach, on his way out.
Well, I think the Giants always want to save their probably most important lefty down in the bullpen, Javi Lopez. But boy, doesn't look like a great decision now, does it?
You know, it's the 8th inning. I'm not sure that how much later you could wait.
Yeah.
And it's the right play to have a left-hander still in there to pitch to Jay Bruce, but Mijares scuffling.
So Chris Heisey will come in to run for Ryan Ludwick, as Baker will tighten up his defense. And Heisey will stay in the game to play left. First and second, nobody out for Jay Bruce. 2 hits last night, including A fourth inning home run. Terrific couple of days for Ryan Ludwick here in San Francisco in his return to the postseason. There's a strike. It's Bruce.
Hey, come on.
Bronson Arroyo's game. No activity in the bullpen. Arroyo with 7 shutout innings thus far. 0-2.
Best pitches thrown.
Now the Reds with home field advantage in this best-of-5 series. Didn't feel like it for them coming here to San Francisco. A tough environment to play in. Always a raucous crowd here, but the Reds have taken these sellout crowds out of it in both games. Feels like just any old random Tuesday night in the regular season. Instead of Sunday in the postseason, as Bruce rips run to right. That is a fair ball. And that will get down into the corner. In to score is Votto, and Heisey on his way in. He will score. It's a double for Jay Bruce. He drives in a pair. And Cincinnati adds to their lead, now 6-0.
Really good breaking ball earlier in the sequence, and then he left that one right in the middle of the plate. Nice swing by Bruce, who continues to hit the ball hard, lefty or righty, doesn't matter.
And the pinch runner Heisey, of course, better speed than Ludwick, can score on the double.
Votto started it with a single. Ludwick walked. Harris is out. Does not get it out. And that sums it up for the Giants through these first 2 days so far. 6-0 Reds. Runner at second, nobody out. We'll take a timeout.
I still think the big play of the game, Joe, you mentioned it, was Hunter Pence missing the cutoff man. Ended up with runners on second and third, and Ryan Hanigan, as he's done all season long for these Reds, the big hit. As we see Santiago Casilla coming in for the second night in a row.
Well, Casilla had a rough inning last night, threw 28 pitches in the 9th inning last night. Gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. Reds have 2 in this 8th inning. A 2 RBI double by Jay Bruce, who now has 3 RBIs in this series. Scott rolling up there with nobody out, and the speedy Bruce at second base. Roland, a big part of that rally in the 4th, had an RBI single. Madison Bumgarner with 4 1/3 gave up 4 earned runs tonight. And that was the big inning against him in the Cincinnati 4th.
Interesting at bat here by Scott Rowland. 2-0 count, runner on second base, 6-0 lead, trying to shoot the ball to right field.
Sure was. Can't get enough. Not the postseason. Keep adding on.
Two and two on Scott Rowland. Rowland with all of that postseason experience. Like in his 37th postseason game. 17 years in the big leagues. Dusty Baker was saying Rowland, because the Reds were able to clinch early, they were able to get him off his feet, get him a few days off, and he's as healthy as he's been all year right now. Rowland pops this one up. Hunter Pence is under it for the out, the first of the inning. Now looking ahead to the Giants' bottom of the 8th. Got Brandon Belt leading off in the pitcher spot, and then Brandon Crawford. As Bochy is on his way out. We saw Guillermo Mota loosening early in this game. back in the second inning, and will now enter in the 8th. Got a runner at second, Jay Bruce. He drove in 2 runs with a double, adding to the Cincinnati lead, and perhaps changing the strategy of Dusty Baker and Brian Price concerning Bronson Arroyo. They give him a little extra leash, but he hasn't really been in trouble all night. The 2 base runners came with 2 outs in an inning.
He's been untethered, I think, so far.
Right. Hanigan drove in a pair with a single in the 4th, part of that 3-run 4th inning.
Dusty's been able to use his bench like he wants to. Also late in the ball game where he uses Heisey to pinch run and stay in defensively. About the only spot on the field where they would make a defensive move.
Arroyo preparing for an at-bat. Do up third in this spot here. 1 ball, 1 strike. Santiago Casilla, or rather Guillermo Mota replacing Casilla. Sharp slider. It's 2-1. Jose Mijares started this inning, gave up 2 hits and a walk, did not retire a Red. And Hanigan shoots one through the infield, a base hit. They're going to send Bruce, and the throw to the plate cut off. Jay Bruce scores an RBI for the Reds catcher Ryan Hanigan, and it is 7-0 Cincinnati.
Well, just great hitting again, going the other way, just eluding Scudero. A couple of hits now. 3 RBI for Hanigan in this game. Just do not let up. Bruce showing good speed, and weaker throw by Pagan.
Been talking all along about the Reds and their pitching and how much better a ball club they are because their pitching's better than it was in 2010, but they're hitting in this series already like it's 2010 again.
Now Drew Stubbs with 1 away. And Stubbs hits that one sharply into left center field. That is down, and that one's going to go to the wall. And watch Stubbs run. Hanigan around third. He will score. Stubbs into third base with a triple. It's an RBI triple. And Cincinnati adds to it. Another run in. 8-0 Reds.
Ball was either hooking or knuckling a little bit on Pagan because it seemed like the closer he got to it, the more the ball was moving away from him. Good swing by Stubbs, got it out front, and he's one of those guys that when he's running at full tilt, it doesn't look like he's even running hard because he's got a long stride and covers a lot of ground.
Now Bronson Arroyo with the infield in. Crooked numbers for the Reds tonight. Their second big inning, had a 3-run 4th inning. Now 4 runs in here in the 8th. Just completely dominating the Giants in all facets of the game here tonight. Strikes out for the second out of the inning.
Never had a bad game as a starting pitcher. He could get 4 at bats.
He'll be the happiest 0 for 4 he'll ever have.
What was it Jack Morris said one time? Taking the field for the first time. Says, never lost with 10, boys.
He's got 8 right now. Arroyo will get his mind back to his pitching, which has been superb tonight. Brandon Phillips back to the top of the order. He's the 8th batter of the inning. 4 hits and a walk in this inning for Cincinnati. And interesting that after that at bat, some bullpen activity. This might be just to get some throwing in and be ready just in case.
I think that they're going to get just lukewarm, get to the point where if a runner or two gets on, they'll get Arroyo out there in a heartbeat.
This has been a long inning, too, guys. He's cool. We saw him jumping around in the dugout trying to stay loose. You know, he hasn't thrown many pitches, and maybe a little hard for him to get loose when he goes back out there for the bottom of the inning.
Nice problem to have, by the way.
It is.
Now 2 balls, no strikes on Brandon Phillips, who doubled in the 7th inning. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Doubled down the line, just past the outstretched Pablo Sandoval. 4 hits in the series for Phillips.
Sorry, Brian, you remember the first at-bat, first pitch of the game by Bumgarner, came in on Phillips, he then proceeded to pop up. That is one part of the game plan I'm sure that Dave Rigetti and Bruce Bochy are going to look at. These Reds hitters have looked awfully comfortable up at the plate, and some pitching inside is going to be needed in Cincinnati.
And Phillips launches one into left field. That is going to get down and one hop the wall. In to score is Stubbs. Phillips with another extra base hit, his 2nd double. And the beat goes on for the Reds in the 8th. 9-0 Cincinnati as Phillips drives in a run with a 2-bagger.
Stake up, and they're just not missing anything. Gives Brandon Phillips 4 RBIs in the 2 games and 2 doubles tonight.
Brandon Phillips, what a series he is off to here as a start. Wilson Valdez will pinch hit. He'll hit for Zach Cozart. Dusty Baker maybe giving an opportunity to get some playing time here for some of his bench in a postseason game.
It's got to be the only reason to get the veteran Valdez in there, give him that bat that maybe could matter later in the series.
Valdez takes a strike. Todd Frazier is on deck. J.J. Hoover in the bullpen, but this is Arroyo's game, it looks like. We'll see what the move's going to be here after this inning. Been a long inning. 5 runs in for Cincinnati. Phillips at second base and Valdez into right. And the Reds bat around in the 8th. They come up with 5 runs. They lead 9-0 as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Oh man, great point, and impressive that Bronson Arroyo can have this kind of game in this kind of environment as J.J. Hoover is the new Cincinnati pitcher. Dusty Baker just feeling like too long of a half inning with the Reds at the bat, and he will go with Hoover, who made his major league debut against the Giants earlier this year in April, making his postseason debut right now. The left fielder is Chris Heisey after he pinch ran, and Wilson Valdez will stay in the game to play short. And there's Todd Frazier at first base, a Rookie of the Year candidate. So when it's all said and done, Arroyo 7 innings, just 1 run, or rather 1 hit and no runs. And Aubrey Huff will pinch hit. Spot occupied by the pitcher. With 1 away, strike 1 from Hoover.
The report by Tom in a different speed should have paid a little closer attention in statistics class, and the standard deviation would have helped to figure out that.
Aubrey Huff sends one deep to right. That is hooking foul. Just missed it. And a long, loud strike off the brick wall out there. 0-2 the count to Huff.
Go over that standard deviation.
Well, it's a variable of how, distance between 2 points of different speeds. Look at that. Aubrey Huff was such a a big part of that 2010 team.
Earned him a 2-year contract with the Giants. And Hoover, this is away. Now we welcome all of you coming over as the Yankees defeat the Baltimore Orioles. Brian Anderson with Joe Simpson, Ron Darling, Tom Verducci. Cincinnati putting on an impressive show here tonight. They lead 9-0, just coming off a 5-run top of the 8th inning. And Bronson Arroyo was spectacular on the mound with 7 innings of 1-hit shutout baseball. That ball is hit deep into center field. And Stubbs will run it down for out number 2. Huff retired, 2 up, 2 down for the Giants in the 8th.
What a good opportunity this is for Dusty Baker to use his bullpen. A couple of guys like J.J. Hoover, who came over from the Braves for Juan Francisco right at the beginning of the season in a non-pressure situation. Get your first postseason appearance.
For folks who missed the effort by Arroyo, though, couldn't get any better. 7 innings, a hit, no runs, a walk, and 4 Ks. Dazzling.
And Arroyo sitting in a comfortable spot of 91 pitches. Could have easily returned for the 8th inning, but after the Reds scored 5 runs in the 8th and they batted around, Dusty Baker deciding to allow Hoover a postseason appearance here. Meanwhile, Madison Bumgarner of the Giants could not get through 5 innings tonight. 4 1/3 with 4 earned runs. Bochy's had to use 7 pitchers in this game tonight, including Tim Lincecum, who went 2 shutout innings. Had the best night of them all. Lincecum got this crowd on its feet briefly. They have not had a whole lot to cheer about tonight. Tough way to start the postseason here in the Bay Area as the Oakland Athletics down 0-2 to the Tigers. That series returning to Oakland on Tuesday, and the Giants are 4 defensive outs away from going down 0-2 as this one heads back to Cincinnati beginning Tuesday night.
The Giants got to figure out some way to get their offense kick-started, and it's not an overwhelming lineup in terms of home runs, runs scored. They were 12th in the league in runs scored, 8th in on-base percentage. That's been a problem, just getting guys on base tonight, thanks to Arroyo.
But you know that ballpark, Great American Ballpark, is a ballpark that can get your offense jump-started. Smaller one than this one here. A lot of home run derbies there occasionally.
3-2 pitch. Crawford will lay off and he will draw the walk, able to check his swing. Ron, take us through Bronson Arroyo's night tonight.
Well, what you had with Bronson is a pitcher on top of his game, a guy who could mix in his curveball with his fastball. He could change his arm angles when he needed to. After he got the 4 Ks early in the effort, he went to his fastball and got ground ball after ground ball. He made it really look easy.
8 straight ground ball outs after those 4 straight strikeouts.
Here's Xavier Nady with 2 away.
Brian, I know you looked it up earlier on Bronson Arroyo. He had 1 complete game effort this year. There was a shutout, and that happened to be in a big ballpark too in San Diego.
Well, Cincinnati tied for the major league lead in complete games this year as Crawford will advance. Defensive indifference to get him to second base. Then slim pickings for Giant fans for something to cheer about tonight. That's worthy. Go ahead. Well, these great fans hoping that this is not the last game of the season here at AT&T Park this year. It would take a great rally. It's been done before, but only 4 times. Coming back from a 2-0 deficit. But both of these teams play well on the road. The Reds have showed that here in San Francisco. The Giants, very good on the road at 11 games over 500 during the regular season. And a strike called. Hoover strikes out Nady to end the 8th inning. 9-0. It's a one-hit shutout for Reds pitchers as we go to the 9th. Todd Frazier will lead off his first postseason at bat as he takes a strike from Sergio Romo, the Giants closer. 14 saves this season and just one blown save.
One of their closers this season.
As Frazier, oh, nice play by Sandoval to his feet and a good throw in time. Frazier retired, one away.
A short hop play on this hard hit ball. Good throw to follow. Well done.
Romo, the 7th pitcher for Bruce Bochy. There's Brian Wilson. Out in April with an elbow injury, ligament damage, and his second Tommy John procedure. I talked to Brian earlier today. By the way, he has his fingernails painted, which took me a little while to get over, but he said he is ahead of pace. He's going to come back in 9.5 months as opposed to 11. Thinks he can come back a little earlier. For his second ligament replacement surgery, the Tommy John procedure. He said he'll be ready to go next spring. And in his absence, Bruce Bochy has had to mix and match in that bullpen.
Put the paint on those forearms too.
Yeah, the permanent paint.
Yeah, right.
I think the fingernails were temporary. Looked like a professional job too, orange and black. That would be one of the last things you'd expect to see from a non-catcher in a baseball clubhouse. I could see it from a catcher, you know, with signals.
Right.
Pitchers trying to see the signals, but
Glow in the dark.
not from an injured closer.
When you're injured, you got to cheerlead. Everyone cheerleads in their own way.
Ball and 2 strikes on Chris Heisey. Batting for the first time, and that one misses away. Brian Wilson was going through the procedure. They took the ligament out of his thigh and put it in his elbow. Said he didn't want it to come from a cadaver. And he had the perfect response. I asked him why. He says, I didn't want a dead arm.
Yes.
I played right into it.
He did.
He had his own show. Sometimes that's where your ligament comes from.
He has his own show here. Well, he's had his own show on the Comcast channel here.
You thought I was joking.
You're not.
Look at that. That's frightening.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It is almost Halloween.
Oh, it's always Halloween.
Here, anyway, with the orange and black.
The rally nails did not work. 3-2, and Heisey pops it up. Brandon Belt in foul territory. Out number 2. Well, the Giants are going to turn to Ryan Vogelsong in game 3. And what a huge start that will be as San Francisco tries to come all the way back, barring a miraculous 9th inning comeback here. Vogelsong's been pitching very well for San Francisco.
He had a great year right up until about his last 10 starts. Leading the league in ERA for much of the season. His ERA went up about a whole point over his last 7, 8, 9 starts.
It's going to be a nice test. He's Vogelsong, an all-star last season, 14 wins this year against a pitcher that seems to have found his way. Probably brought up too early to the Reds, trying to learn on the job, but 13 wins for Homer Bailey and no-hitter.
Bailey had the 7th no-hitter in Major League Baseball this season. He no-hit the Pirates at near the end of the season. Vogelsong with a 14-win campaign and a 3.37 ERA. And Bochy's going to be leaning heavily on his Game 3 starter Tuesday night. And at this point, you can probably safely say that if the Giants win Game 3, you'd see Matt Cain for Game 4. Kane took the loss yesterday, but only threw 75 pitches. There were 5 innings in yesterday's game. Two balls and a strike on Jay Bruce. 2-2 now.
Romo, a slider throwing machine.
Yeah. There's Ryan Vogelsong. A lot of pressure on his shoulders on Tuesday.
It makes Matt Cain perhaps the most consistent pitcher all year long.
Romo trying to finish off the 9th. And Bruce fights it off. Count remains at 2-2. Jay Bruce, a couple of big days here in San Francisco. 2 hits, a home run yesterday. Drove in 2 runs with a double in his last at bat. 3 hits, 3 RBIs.
We've seen Jay Bruce enough. When he gets on that hot streak, it doesn't matter what you throw.
Another 2-2 offering from Sergio Romo. And this one in the air. And it stayed playable. Long run. Sandoval's the only one over there. And a sliding catch by Nady. Wow, what a play. Xavier Nady, not just to make the catch, but to stay out of the hospital with the Panda crashing in on him. He lives to tell about it. Great play by Nady. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Yikes. Now the big concern for Reds fans was their Cincinnati club offensively in the final month of the season. They struggled to score runs. That has not been the case in the first 2 games of this NLDS, as Jose Arredondo is on the pitch for the Reds. He'll have the bottom of the 9th. Angel Pagan leads off. Miguel Cairo enters the game at first base. That moves Frazier over to third. Cincinnati with 5 runs on 9 hits last night. 9 runs on 13 hits tonight. The Giants have just 1 hit in this game. Brandon Belt with a single in the 5th inning with 2 outs. Then 1 hit and 2 walks. Just 3 base runners. And all 3 of those base runners reached with 2 outs in the inning. 1 hopper right to Cairo. And Arredondo covers for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Marcos Scutaro now 0 for 3. He's probably had the best at-bats of the night. 2 line drive outs for Scutaro. Arroyo was fantastic tonight. He retired 21 of the 23 batters he faced. Just 1 hit, 1 walk.
Plenty of blame to go around, but now the table setters for the Giants 1 for 17 in the first 2 games.
That's got to change.
Yeah.
If they had any hope at all of coming back in this series and making a series of it, those guys at the top of the order have got to get busy when they get to Cincinnati.
Pagan and Scutaro 0 for 7 combined tonight. Over the loudspeakers between innings, they were playing Staying Alive, trying to give these Giants fans some hope. Bouncing ball. Valdez. And 2 men are out. So what is the way back for the Giants as we head to Cincinnati on Tuesday?
Well, they just need Vogelsong to take charge and throw 5, 6, 7 good innings. Let them peck away, maybe a bloop and a blast here and there. But the Reds are on top of their game.
They're not striking out a lot. They only struck out 5 times last night. 5 tonight so far. They're putting the ball in play. They hit in some tough luck last night, but tonight buried by the Reds offense. Kind of tough with the offense getting on top of them early, and that guy Arroyo pitching maybe the best game of his life.
Now when you consider the stakes, the postseason, And there was a lot of question about Dusty Baker's choice to go with Arroyo for Game 2. Matt Latos not only was pitching very well down the stretch for Cincinnati, but he has great numbers here against the Giants. He was originally scheduled as the Game 3 starter. Turns out that Latos was in the game anyway here at AT&T Park. A terrific effort yesterday. Pablo Sandoval with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. These two teams will take tomorrow off. It's a travel day back to Cincinnati. Giants are leaving tomorrow. The Reds will leave after the game. And Game 3 on Tuesday night. If you haven't seen downtown Cincinnati in a while, they've done a great job. That place is rocking these days. Great American ballpark. Very close to the football stadium for the Bengals, and great setting down there. Fountain Square will be hopping as they're anxious to welcome back their Cincinnati Reds. They had not won a postseason game in 17 years until last night, as Sandoval sends one deep to right, and that ball is high off the wall. Extra bases for Sandoval, and the second Giants hit comes with 2 outs in the 9th inning.
High fastball, and he peppered it. Anything right now is kind of a something to build on.
Yeah.
For Tuesday. So they were able to have a decent inning here after 2 are out. That'd give them a little life.
Sandoval with his second hit in this series. Now Buster Posey. And what could be his final at bat here at AT&T Park this year as the Giants come back. And will it be an MVP season for Buster Posey? Figure Ryan Braun from the Milwaukee Brewers will be a strong candidate. Yadier Molina of the St. Louis Cardinals. Bruce Bochy doesn't get a vote, but he's already cast it. He says nobody more valuable to a ball club than Posey is to the Giants.
But he's got everything that you'd want to be the MVP. He's valuable to his team. They're in the postseason, and he was the best in the second half.
First time All-Star this year. He was the Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago. Posey had 2 hits last night, but in the first wave of this series in San Francisco, too many at-bats with very few on base. 2 balls and a strike on Posey. Fouls it back.
Great job by the Reds pitching staff that we talked a lot about at the beginning of this series, giving up only 2 runs in 2 games to this point.
2 runs and 9 hits. Posey was the last out last night. Stranded a couple of base runners.
In some ways, it's probably real good that San Francisco has the day off to travel, get away from the game for 24 hours, try to regroup in Cincinnati, a place that they have not traditionally played very well.
Well, the Reds have had a handle on that season series. Cincinnati this season won 4 out of 7 against the Giants this year, but won the series in Cincinnati this season. Took 2 out of 3 from Billy Hatcher. All smiles. Walt Jocketty, the Reds general manager. He has dominated the National League Central in his tenure as GM of both the Cardinals and the Reds. The second division title in Cincinnati. Lincecum gave him a little life tonight. 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. Just his 3rd appearance ever in relief. 2-2 to Posey. And that one gets by Hanigan. Sandoval to third base on a wild pitch from Arredondo.
He needs to get it a little down low.
Well, he tried to throw a breaking ball there, just spun out of his hand, stayed true, and eluded Hanigan.
Got to give Hanigan a lot of credit too. Credit to the pitching staff. That catcher is a big part of that picture. Full count, 2 outs. And down in the dirt. Posey walks. Giants are not dead yet. 2 on with 2 away. The Giants faithful still hanging in there. Many of this sellout crowd have taken off, but a good portion have stayed here. Over 43,000 and now it's 43,500. Well, they do it right here. Everything they do is top notch in this ballpark, this organization. Posey's going to take off and a strike to Hunter Pence. Defensive indifference allowing Posey to second. So second and third for Pence, who is 0 for 3 tonight. He was the last batter that Arroyo faced in the 7th. And it's 0-2.
Hurt himself. Slapping the back of his left calf muscle.
Posey, when he was up, fouled one off his foot.
Let's watch the bat here. No? No, the other leg.
Grabbed on him a little bit.
Yep. So the Giants down to their last strike. Arredondo trying to finish it off. And a ball and 2 strikes.
So far, Arredondo's split finger pitch. Not getting it close enough to the plate into the strike zone to get the hitters to offer.
Dusty Baker, 3-time manager of the year, his 5th year in Cincinnati, trying to take his club home up 2 games to none. That's a great American ballpark. Cincinnati has not won a postseason series since '95. And a division series win that year. As Pence takes the ball, and it's 2-2. Beat the Dodgers that season. Dusty's former club has a World Series ring from his Dodger days as a player. Reds would go on to get swept by the Atlanta Braves that year in the NLCS. There's a Game 3 starter, Vogelsong. Just keeping an eye on Hunter Pence here after that foul ball. A little bit of a limp.
It's like his calf seized up a little bit, or a cramp.
He's got some RBI opportunities out there. Second and third, 2 outs. And now it's 3-2.
just put his head down because, as if saying, please don't make me get somebody warmed up.
Right.
The payoff pitch and a ground ball to short. Valdez will make the play, and the Cincinnati Reds take care of business on the road. They win 2 in a row from the San Francisco Giants and do it in impressive fashion. Bronson Arroyo picks up his first career postseason victory. 7 shutout innings, gives up just 1 hit, and the best game of his career when you consider the stakes. Arroyo retired 21 of 23 batters tonight, and 7 shutout, as the Reds will take a 2-games-to-none advantage back to the Queen City on Tuesday. Bronson Arroyo, our Chevy player of the game. Looked like he had enough staying power to go the distance here tonight, but the big 5-run 8th inning for Cincinnati made it a 7-inning outing tonight for Arroyo.
Well, the economy of pitches, only 91 pitches over 7 innings. He was as good as I've seen him pitch tonight, and one of the biggest games he had to pitch, and now the Reds have a mighty lead going back to Cincinnati.
And we send it down to Tom Verducci with tonight's winning pitcher.
Bronson Arroyo, you know it's a good night when you throw 91 pitches, all but 7 of those from the windup. You made it look easy. How much fun was it to command the ball the way you did tonight?
Oh, it's always fun to get a victory in a playoff game, but you know, I kept these guys off balance. I mean, sometimes we need a little luck. I mean, they hit some ground balls that could have been maybe base hits in the infield, and we had some great plays defensively. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to go out there deep in a ball game, get an opportunity to kind of do what you do in your craft, and have it work out the way it did.
Now, Bronson, you retired the first 14 batters of the game. How aware were you of that and thinking maybe something magical was happening tonight?
It was a little early to think about that, you know what I mean? You know, it's crunch time. A win's a win's a win, especially in the playoffs, and I wasn't thinking that at all. If I had gotten maybe into the 7th inning, I would have started thinking about it. But you know, it's very difficult to do that on any given day, much less in the playoff atmosphere.
Your 12th postseason game, your first postseason win. Where does this game rank in your career?
You know, it's definitely up there. You know, I haven't been able to take the ball and really lock down a game like this in the playoffs in my whole career. So it's definitely up there, but hopefully just the beginning of you know, things to come, hopefully, for this ball club.
Now, Bronson, you've delivered the team now 1 win away from the franchise's first postseason series win in 17 years. The game 3 will be in Cincinnati. What do you expect from this club and the Cincinnati fans on Tuesday night?
Well, hopefully we can just keep the pressure on these guys. You know, we know we're in the driver's seat, but you know, this game is very funny, and there's nothing guaranteed, and we got a small ballpark, and these guys have a very good lineup, and we hope to just keep them quiet, you know, because if you know, if they get some momentum, anything could happen.
Bronson Arroyo, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Back up to you guys.
All right, thanks, Tom, and thanks to Bronson Arroyo. And a terrific night tonight. The Reds win it 9-0. A 2-hit shutout combined. Arroyo, J.J. Hoover, and Jose Arredondo. Only 4 times in division series play as a team come back from down 0-2. It's never happened in the National League. The Giants will try to do that. The Reds will try to finish them off in advance. Our final score tonight, Cincinnati 9, San Francisco 0. Game 3 of this series is Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern. After the break, we'll send you to Matt Weiner, Dennis Eckersley, and David Wells in our Atlanta studio. TBS is your home for the 2012 Division Series and the exclusive home of the American League Championship Series. For Tom Verducci, Ron Darling, and Joe Simpson, I'm Brian Anderson. So long from the Bay.